The NAACP is at it again with their stir-fried foolishness, marinated and dumb, designed to keep you outraged and controlled. Grace and peace, you guys. April Chapman here with the Standard of Truth podcast. Recently, the NAACP has issued, listen, wait for it, a travel boycott to the great Sunshine State of Florida. And what is the basis of this travel boycott, you ask? They don't want you to go to Florida because Florida is racist and it's unsafe for Black people. We must scare the good old Black folks and tell them where they should not travel to and what they should boycott, because this is going to be good for you. Let me break down what the NAACP is and what they are doing. The NAACP is nothing more than a global elite democratic operative designed to keep Black people enraged and constantly on the edge of what white supremacy may or may not be doing. They never prove it, but they make these assertions and they incite fear and intimidation in you based on a false narrative designed to limit your freedom and to limit your assimilation into American culture. First of all, the NAACP does not speak for all Black people. I don't even know why the organization still exists. They are culturally irrelevant. They are anti-God, and I can actually demonstrate that they are anti-Black. They don't care about Black people. They're not interested in advancing Black people in any way, shape, form, or fashion. They could care less about Black economics. They really don't care about the Black family, and they are the least supportive of the flourishing of Black businesses. So let's first start with what they are currently up to as it relates to a travel boycott that they've initiated on the state of Florida.
The NAACP has issued a travel warning for Florida, calling the policies of Governor Rhonda Sanchez hostile to minority communities. As CBS 2's Naveen Dhaliwal reports, it comes just days before Governor DeSantis is expected to announce his run for president.
A warning for those traveling to the Sunshine State ahead of Memorial Day weekend after Governor Ron DeSantis' policies clashed with the NAACP.
DEI more appropriately stands for discrimination, exclusion, and indoctrination, and that has no place in our public institutions.
It's words like these that are causing an uproar. And now the governor's actions, the NAACP says, only means Florida has become, quote, hostile to Black Americans and is in direct conflict with the democratic ideals that our union was founded upon. Political expert Basil Smikle.
The NAACP is saying that the state does not support you, does not support the care and concern that you have for your family or your future.
Just last week, Fort Myers High School students walked out of class in protest of the governor's plans to eliminate diversity programs. Now the NAACP is fighting back after Governor DeSantis rejected access to AP African American Studies in colleges.
Being able to learn history is so important so that we don't repeat it.
Experts say the governor's agenda could have repercussions.
He's doing it in a way that we haven't seen a governor use that kind of power in a very long time. The sports venues, the concert venues, will they lose economic support because they've lost African American support as a result of this movement?
And as the anger flares, local mayors are trying to reduce the divide, tweeting, "Everyone is always welcome, and diversity and inclusion are central to what makes Tampa." All of this comes as Governor DeSantis is gearing up to announce his run for president as early as this week.
The long-term impact is both economic and political, in the hopes that this move can actually reshape the politics of the state in the long run.
The League of United Latin American Citizens and Florida's largest LGBTQ civil rights group, Equality Florida, have also issued travel warnings for the state. We reached out to Governor DeSantis' office for comment, but did not hear back. In the newsroom, Naveen Dhaliwal, CBS 2 News.
If you are not aware, the government educational system, they are not educating our children, but rather they are indoctrinating our children and inciting hate and literally trying to stoke division and keep us divided as opposed to bringing us together. I'm going to give Governor Ron DeSantis an opportunity to explain to you specifically why he banned those AP classes at the collegiate level. These people are lying to you.
Republican Governor Ron DeSantis defending his decision to block a new advanced placement course on African American studies from being taught in Florida schools. He says Florida's current standards for teaching Black history are, quote, cut and dried history, and that multiple lessons in that particular course go too far. Here he is.
We want education, not indoctrination. This course on Black history, what's one of the lessons about? Queer theory. Now, who would say that an important part of Black history is queer theory? That is somebody pushing an agenda on our kids. And so when you look to see they have stuff about intersectionality, abolishing prisons, that's a political agenda.
It's the latest in a long line of culture war battles that DeSantis has been happy to fight amid growing speculation that he will run for president. Steve Contorno is out front in St. Petersburg, Florida, with new details. So, Steve, we just heard DeSantis say, he laid it out very clearly why this course is not welcome in the state of Florida. What else do you know about that is part of the curriculum?
Aaron, this is going to be a study of the African-American experience from a whole bunch of perspectives and subjects. It's going to include not just history, but also art and humanities and politics and geography. So it's going to include a lot of topics that you would expect. We took a look at the syllabus, and there's things on it that you would expect in a course like this, like Civil War and Black communities, Black suffrage and women's rights, and civil rights leaders. It also includes exposing kids to things that they might not have had a chance to learn previously, like Western African empires and Black musical innovation. But there's a number of topics in the final section that the DeSantis administration has raised objections to, and this includes the topics that are things like Black feminism, Black queer studies, and reparations movement. And the DeSantis administration says that the concepts and the writings in these sections overlap and intersect with critical race theory, which, as you know, has been banned in Florida, and also may violate a new state law which says that you cannot teach that someone might be oppressed or privileged based on their race or color. So it's a small section of the course, actually just 6 topics in a course that's going to cover more than 100 topics over the course of a year, Aaron.
And that's what the objections were about, those specific 6, or what were they? Was there anything else?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Most of the objections are actually around the writings that are suggested as part of this coursework because they come from Black thought leaders or activists or historians who the DeSantis administration says have pushed for ideologies that they don't want being taught in Florida schools, like communism. Now, I talked to a teacher who is currently instructing this class at a high school, and she is just baffled by this assertion that this is somehow injecting politics or ideology. This is a study of these topics that have been instrumental in civil rights movements of their era. Like, how do you talk about the civil rights actions of the last 20 years without mentioning the Black Lives Matter movement, which DeSantis says shouldn't be taught because they push for abolishing prisons. So, Aaron, this is what they are using to convince people that this course should not be allowed in Florida when it is widely available in 2024.
There is a huge segment of the Black American population that is waking up, and they see right through this foolishness. Why? Because they realized a long time ago that not only was our federal government lying to us, but that our Black leaders, the Afrostocracy, they lie all the time, particularly the NAACP. These people are lying to you. They want to control you. They want to suppress your ability to think for yourself, and they want to tell you how to think, how to move, how to function, and how to live. So let's just go through their claims. They are claiming that there needs to be a travel advisory in Florida and that Black people should not go to Florida because it is unsafe, right? Essentially, they are accusing the state of Florida of being discriminatory and racist, and they're hoping that Black people will actually listen to this foolishness, not go to Florida, and that it will economically hurt Florida by way of their sports venues and entertainment venues and things like that. I want to talk to you about why the NAACP should not be trusted and why they are not set up to be in the best interest of Black people. First of all, if you have not watched Uncle Tom 2, you need to make it your business to watch that. The film Uncle Tom 2, and I will link to it in the description below, gives you a very, very deep dive into who founded the NAACP and the ideals and the foundation on which they were formed and what they actually support and promote. The NAACP, which stands for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, why we are still using the term colored is beyond me. I don't know. But that's the name of their organization. This organization is distinctively anti-God. Okay, on the face of it, they're anti-God in practice and in ideology, but they're anti-family. They are anti-Black human flourishing because they are a huge supporter of Planned Parenthood, and they don't want the Black family to flourish. No, they want you to have access to as many Planned Parenthoods in your community as possible. They want you to come right out of your elementary school and see a Planned Parenthood right across the street so that you have been indoctrinated from a wee way when you this tiny, this small, that all you know is that, oh, if I get pregnant, the resource for me to take care of that and handle it is right there, right across the school street from your middle school or your high school, and in some circumstances, your elementary school. So they're anti-God, they are anti-family, they are not pro-life. They want to snuff out as many Black lives as they can. Please believe that they are a part of the eugenics movement. Oh yes, Margaret Sanger, she loved her some NAACP and she loved her some Black preachers, and she used them to promote her agenda. They are actually everything that you do not want Black people to represent and stand for. And let's talk about the state of Florida for a little bit. Florida is one of the most pro-freedom states in these United States. Our family, we flocked and spent a whole lot of our money and time in the state of Florida during the pandemic. Why? Because it was open and Governor Ron DeSantis allowed you to use the brain that the good Lord gave you to make decisions for yourself, not overlording over the people and telling them you can't go here and you can't do this and you can't do that. No, assess your own risk, do your own risk tolerance, and make a decision that is best for you. If you want to stay locked up in your house with 3 masks on, hey, you can do that. But if you want to come down to the Sunshine State and have a vacation and live, because this virus is going to hit all of us at some point in one form, fashion, or another, you can do that too. Florida supported that. Florida was also pro medical freedom, which is something Black people have not been able to experience in a very long time. Why? Because we are constantly falling prey to government agendas that want to poison us, maim us, harm us, sterilize us by way of the medical industrial complex, whether that is using a submuscular injectable biologic or some other form of harm under the guise of healthcare, right? So he was definitely pro medical freedom, meaning He knew the studies and the published information was out there that the submuscular injectable biologic was harmful to people and that people were being harmed and injured. Now, if you wanted to line up and take it, you can go get your 10 jabs if that's what you want to do. But in Florida, he made it so that you could make that decision on your own using informed consent. Florida was also one of the few states that were actually providing therapeutics to their residents when they did get sick. He didn't outlaw certain drugs that were known to help people get through that virus. He did not do that. So I am telling you, this is nothing but a political ploy to get Black people putting on blinders so that they don't see the blessing that the state of Florida has been to our country. They want to give you a smokescreen. They want to lie. The NAACP is literally lying to you, trying to make you think that the big old white supremacist Ron DeSantis is out to get you. And so you can't go and cross over them state lines because if you do, there's going to be a lynching. So it's best that you just stay right where you are. That is literally what they're trying to do. So let's see if the narrative that the NAACP was trying to paint actually has any weight or bearing. Why don't we hear from Ron DeSantis himself explain to you his reasoning why this AP African American Studies course was not going to take a foothold in the state of Florida.
Republican Governor Ron DeSantis defending his decision to block a new advanced placement course on African American studies from being taught in Florida's schools. He says Florida's current standards for teaching Black history are, quote, cut and dried history, and that multiple lessons in that particular course go too far. Here he is.
We want education, not indoctrination. This course on Black history, what's one of the lessons about? Queer theory. Now, who would say that an important part of Black history is queer theory? That is somebody pushing an agenda on our kids. And so when you look to see they have stuff about intersectionality, abolishing prisons, that's a political agenda.
So there you had an opportunity to hear Governor Ron DeSantis himself, in his own words, explain to you, here is the reason why we will not allow the AP Black History course into the collegiate system as is, because there was specific information in this course that they tried to sneak in to fuel their Marxist political ideology that separates groups of people and impugns oppression and other statuses to groups of people where it does not apply. First of all, any Black person that is proud of their ethnic heritage should take grave issue with a sexually perverted agenda being piggybacked on the back of their history. I don't see the Indian culture teaching about sexual perversion in Indian history. I don't see the Asian culture piggybacking sexual perversion onto the backs of their history either. You don't see in any other ethnic group that is teaching the information regarding their history, fusing sexual ideology and perversion and piggybacking on the history of their people group. That is literally, and for the NAACP to fearmonger and tell people that, we just need to issue this travel advisory and let the Black community know that they shouldn't be going to Florida because it's just not safe for Black people. They don't want your history being taught there without giving the whole story, without giving you the facts and saying, you do realize that they're trying to marry Black history with sexual perversion. This should make you all wonder, like, well, wait a minute. What you trying to say? Are you trying to say that this sexual perversion is endemic to our people group and that our children need to learn about it because it's who we are? Absolutely, that is not true. This travel ban is nothing more than the NAACP doing what they always do, be Marxist point men and representatives of the Democratic National Convention and to stroke the flames of division and to implant ideas of imaginary racism where none exists. They would rather cripple and hurt the Floridians' economy for the sake of pushing a lie and their narrative and their agenda, because the NAACP does not represent you. It is a Marxist organization that pushes Marxist ideals. It is anti-God. It is anti-family. It is anti-freedom. All it wants is communism and socialism. They try to convince you that it's all about uplifting and advancing Black people, but no, it's all about uplifting and advancing Marxist, communist minded Black people. They are lying to you. And I am going to sound the alarm and wake up as many Black people as I can, because I'm sorry. When I learn about Black history, it should not, nor do I desire for it to include teaching queer ideology and transgender information. None of that is a part of our history. If you want to teach queer studies, you can do that in a separate course and make it an elective for those who want to take it. But you're not going to marry Black history and queer ideology. You're not going to marry that, and you're not going to sneak in critical race theory, because see, when I see young people, like we saw in that earlier clip, particularly the white ones, the white liberal ones that don't know any better because they've been indoctrinated and this is all they know. When I see them outraged saying, we should be learning about all histories, they don't even know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're whining and crying and screaming and stomping up and down supporting. They don't know what they're supporting. And the reason why is because if they've been in a K through 12 US education system, they've been indoctrinated with a worldview that literally teaches them not how to think, but what to think. That's what you're seeing happening here with the NAACP. This travel advisory is full of fear mongering, and it is literally the Democrats using a supposedly civil rights organization to push more division and to possibly steal the segment of the Black population that loves living in Florida, that's gotten a taste of freedom. You remember, see, what y'all keep forgetting is that school choice passed in Florida, and it passed overwhelmingly because Black parents supported the idea of, you know what, I don't want my child in this failing, this poor, underperforming school. And so Governor Ron DeSantis won a huge percentage of the Black vote, and he did it by giving them what they needed, which was school choice. And so the Democrats have come up with this idea to say, you know what we need to do is we need to fearmonger and scare Black people into not going to Florida to see if maybe we can cripple their economy, right? Or if maybe we can, the remaining Black folks that are there that don't realize how good they really have it under that administration, let's plant seeds of discord and doubt and fan the flames of racism that aren't even there, in hopes that maybe that way we can possibly influence an election. The Democrats don't have any policies that are good for Black people. So this is the only tactic that they know to try to win some votes. I'm so sick and tired of it. And so that's why we're discussing it today. Let me be clear. The NAACP does not speak for me, and they don't speak on behalf of a large amount of Black people who see right through them. You are anti-freedom. You're not pro-Black. You don't speak for us, nor do we support you. We're not listening. There might be some who maybe they are unaware of what's happening. They might be listening to you. But there is a huge percentage of us that are not listening to you. You're lying. You're lying. You're lying on the state of Florida. Your agenda is wicked and you need to be exposed. So let me know what you think. Do you think that this was a wise move for the NAACP to try to attempt to convince Black folks that they shouldn't be traveling to Florida because Florida is just so bad? Or if you have an experience in traveling to Florida and experience the freedom that that state is experiencing under the leadership of Governor Ron DeSantis, let me know. But what I want you to do, I want you to walk away from this video paying very, very close attention to how these people lie and manipulate the truth in order to push an agenda. Leave me a comment below and let me know exactly how you feel about this and what do you think the outcome is going to be. Do you think it's going to work? Do you think there are going to be enough Black people that just jump on this bandwagon and decide not to go to Florida just because the NAACP told them to? These people are something else. Y'all let me know what you think. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Grace and peace.